Alright, we are live. Hey YouTube. There's a bit of wind. Hopefully putting the band-aid over my microphone has helped. I think I've got it smushed and stuck down in such a way that it really is completely encapsulating the microphone and acting as a little wind muff, like the furry things you see on more expensive mics. So, as I was I'm walking to work, so I was like, what can I talk about? I'm kind of forgetting some of the subjects that I've wanted to do but haven't yet, and then I was like, ooh, I can talk about this. So this is Fears number 2, and doing a good job at work and other places too. Kind of fits right in. So I recently realized that one of my bigger fears right now is not knowing when I work. Coming up towards the weekend, a little bit scary. I need to remember to get my days. I always do it at the last I can. On the Saturday, the last day of the week, I grab my schedule for the next week. And I'm kind of changed this a little bit now, but there's a reason for this. So my first legitimate job ever from some other actual company was at a pizza shop. And I'm not going to say which pizza shop they are. I don't want to name names here. They're a good pizza shop, and I'll be reviewing them on food and stuff later on. But in this video, you're not going to know specifically which one. But they're a good pizza shop. But there was one time where I remembered that one of the managers from one of the other locations, they have to come quite a ways. It's like, we need a little bit of extra help down here. Do you think you could come help us out? Oh yeah, sure, we can spare one of our sweet managers. These are like this manager of this store and the manager of this store will sometimes come down. And so it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be happy to come down and help. Let me just, plan the weekend and drive down there. Kind of a thing like that, So, I'll say I'm in Orem, Utah, and the other locations are out in Idaho. That might give it away. I'm not trying to be mean at all to anybody by saying this, but what ended up happening was one of the other managers was down here, and I thought I saw him making the schedule on the computer. I didn't think anything of it, and it's like, and he's like, oh, that looks good, we'll put that out. And so I'm positive he put out the schedule because I went and took a picture of it. And so then next week comes, and it's a day where I'm not working, and I get called in, and they're like, hey, the boss was wondering if you were coming in. This was one of the servers. I'm like, oh, I wasn't scheduled to work. I'm like, oh, well, you actually are. You should come in now. So I did come in, and talking with him, and I said, hey, it wasn't on the schedule. Maybe you took a picture of the wrong one. Nope, I got it right here. He didn't really look at it. He was kind of busy. We were talking about this a little bit as he was kind of heading out the door to go. This was years ago, by the way. So hopefully if this was an issue, they've gotten it worked out by now. But he was kind of heading out the door to deliver a pizza. So then I was like, but this guy, I'm sure he made the schedule. I was like, now that guy, he doesn't have anything on my schedule. It's my schedule. And I could kind of see where he was coming from. It didn't get me fired, okay? It was several months later that things were slowing down, and so they had to lay a couple of people off, and I was one of them. And I also saw it coming because I was getting 1 day a week, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day a week, and I kind of saw it, so I was prepping and looking for another job. If you're watching this and you kind of remember that, hey, I'm not trying to be mean to anybody against anything, because there were a lot of little things for that job, stuff that I didn't know. There was one time, so I can say this. So there's one manager, we're pretty good friends. If I come in, we'll definitely say hi if he's there. And you're a cool dude, man. You know who you are. All of you guys were cool. But anyways, so what happened one time, he was making something, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, oh hey, what are you making? Because I was curious. As I was putting dishes away and stuff. I was kind of dishwasher, and I did make some pizzas too. I kind of sort of tossed the crust, I topped them a bit. a little bit of everything in the kitchen, but not quite everything. There were some things. And so what happened, I asked him, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing, ooh. You know what, I'm going to call you shiny, because you're kind of like a squirrel. Ooh, a shiny thing, and you kind of are curious about it, and you go after it. So, he didn't tell me what that was, and I wasn't really disappointed. I was like, kind of like, all right, if you're not going to tell me, that's totally fine. I'm like the dishwasher on more one of the lower end positions here. I don't need to know everything. That was totally okay with me. But so then, it was buffalo sauce. I'll tell you it was buffalo sauce. I'm not going to tell you how they make their buffalo sauce. It's kind of a little bit of a secret for the ingredients and stuff like that. But so then that was one of the assistant managers. So then one time, months after this guy had gone back to Idaho, I think he's come back here, but this guy was back in Idaho. And so, but our main manager was like, hey, yo, Caleb, quick, we need more of the buffalo sauce. I don't know how. What do you mean you don't know how? Everybody knows how. I need more buffalo sauce. No, I really don't know how to make buffalo sauce. Nobody showed me how. And then main manager was like, fine. And he ran over and made buffalo sauce. I really didn't know how. There were some things, and there were just a lot of little things where I'll say that, there could have been maybe a little bit more in training wise. So I get some of it was difficult. You're not gonna teach someone how to make a sandwich unless a customer orders it, because then that's kind of sort of wasteful, and you can't necessarily feed your employees like that. One thing that was good about this place that made it really cool was like the pizza slices in the warmer when they get a little bit old, and you can't sell them because they're a little bit hard. Customers don't want that. That's not our quality yummy pizza or pies. So, but we would get to eat them, before they go in the trash a lot of times. That was cool. So it was a good job, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but there were definitely some kinks and things that I felt like needed to be worked out. And I even, for a little while, was making like a training video series. Not public, which is going to be a private thing. I kind of wanted public, but they said private. But I kind of got fired before that even really got finished. And long story short, I was just trying to be nice and help. But it was a good job, but, there were some kinks that made it tough and tricky. So moving on now. Trying to forget why I even... so the schedules thing. So the thing with the schedule, is I'm 100% positive that that the other manager had done the schedule, and then our main manager redid the schedule. Not redid, but he made it, technically again, without knowing that there was one made. And so I had a copy of the old one. Something else could have happened, I should have been a little bit more pushy and said, no, I legitimately have a picture that shows the current date and stuff. Look at my phone. I should have been like, dude, I will even wait until you're off shift and then just take a minute of your time for you to look at this. But I wasn't. And even now, I'm still kind of not that way. I've recently found I'm an introvert. It's difficult for me to even, someone walks into the dollar store where I work now, it's difficult for me to even say, excuse me, person, could you leave your backpack up front? Sometimes I can, and I feel great that I did it. It makes me feel good inside. But other times, I don't like that. I don't like saying no or any sort of thing like that. And this is something that's just, I've always had problems, saying no. And so there's a little bit more I could have done, but it's okay. No hard feelings. I still totally want to be friends with you guys. And you make good pizza. So I'll still go in every now and then. But because of that, for my jobs and stuff, the job after that was a call center. That was 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Really nice schedule. I liked that because it was very repetitive. Got me in the habit of waking up early in the morning so that I could go walk to the bus and catch the bus to work. Very good habits. I liked it a lot. And it was just nice because then I was also awake when I was getting off work fully awake, so then I could get home and do some of my projects and stuff before going to bed. And yeah, and everything was kind of cool with that. I liked the pattern that it got me in. But because of that pizza incident, I would, for the longest time, I've been getting my schedules on Saturday. Make sure that absolutely nothing has happened to them. There's been no last minute changes that I didn't know about. And with this job, though, it's also a little more lenient. The pizza job was somewhere in the middle. They wanted good workers and people that would show up. I believe it was minimum wage with some very definite opportunities to get a raise. They specifically said in one meeting, hey, people, if you're doing a good job, we're going to give you a raise. So it was a company that was willing to give you some level up and stuff. They're an in-the-middle pizza place, deliveries, but also, you could dine in and have somebody wait at your table. Good stuff. So, good job. And this job, though, dollar store job, very much so a minimum wage job where managers kind of have to expect that there's going to be some turnover and that people are just going to not show up for some reason one day because they decide, oh, I don't like this job. That customer was mean to me. I can't take it. Stuff like that's going to happen. So this job is a little more lenient. But also on top of that, I don't know. Well, where is it going? Yeah. So it's more lenient, so there's a little bit less to worry about here. But I really try and do a good job. I have been late a few times. Sometimes, one time though, the manager was like, oh, I didn't even notice. The main manager. And then the other person that I was replacing was like, oh yeah, I'm late all the time. And it's, and they don't mind, hopefully she was just saying that to comfort me, because it shouldn't be a thing. You should try to do a good job at whatever job you work at, period. It's going to give you the best opportunity. You're going to be the best standing with the managers. They're going to want to keep you on because you do a good job, when things get tough, but they have to lay people off. Or if something happens, if you've been doing a really good job and then all of a sudden, for some odd reason, you're short a bunch of money or something, they are going to look into it. They are going to do some checking, ask you some questions. That's normal. But if you do a really good job for a long time, there's a better chance that you're going to stay versus, well, there's been some kind of shady things, we're going to have to let you go. Seriously. I try, every job I go, I try and build this persona of, I'm a good person, I'm going to do a good job here. I might mess up here and there. I might not make it perfectly. Maybe I'm not capable of doing it to your exact standards. Maybe I can't throw as many boxes out as everyone else can or as you want, but I'm going to try. That's what I try and do. So lately, though, I've been starting okay, I'll get my schedule on Friday. It gives me a little bit of cushion. If I forget Friday, I can try Saturday. But it just makes me nervous, not knowing my schedule. What if I miss a day? What if, oh, I forgot to get my schedule. And then by the time I remembered, everybody was already gone. And a lot of times what I'll do now, there's one manager where I can text her if I know she works. I can call the store, ask them just for the next day that I work and get it done. Or sometimes if I know that this one manager is working, I will give her a text. Or I could text the main manager too. I'd just be like, hey, what's the next day I'm working? And then get the rest of my schedule then. Although I prefer to know it up front. It's a lot easier for planning your week if you know your whole schedule. But it's one of the things that makes me nervous. And yeah. But then there's also, I'm kind of at the point where I'm a little bit tired of this job. Now, one thing to factor in when you're doing jobs is if it's a job that's not your dream job, that you don't really enjoy and love, it is going to wear on you you are going to get a little bit tired of it. You could potentially go for the rest of your life at that job, maybe, but you're certainly not going to do as good of a job as if you love it. All these just little details and things, and it's also good to think too, maybe I'm doing a little bit too much. Like, especially if you factor in kind of what you can get away with. Like at the dollar store job, you know, one of the things that I do is I put stuff back on shelves. Just like go put these away. Or there's boxes we have up front. So when we're at the register, nobody's there. We can run down, grab some gum and candy, and put it back on the register, refill that area. And there are little things like I'm putting stuff on a hook. You know, it's nice if it's all neat and straight, but it doesn't have to be. I could probably, because the customers are just going to come along and make it messy. So as long as it's actually hanging on the hook and not falling down, even if the package is just a little bit askew, a little bit twisted, that's totally okay. So maybe you don't need to go and straighten them back up. Maybe if you skip that, save a little bit of time, save your sanity a bit. Especially like, and you know, if it's like you're here for this many hours, when this time's up, you know, go grab a manager, it's time to take you off. If you're going to go home, time to take you off, you know. That, you know, doesn't matter as much. You know, you can take your time and make things nice. Don't go too far. You know, I could straighten all the packages. But if it was a, hey, this is kind of your job, you need to get it done before you go home. It should take you about this long. If you go a little bit over, that's okay, but you know, there is a point where it's too much. So, keeping that in mind, you know, then you might wanna, that's a situation where, okay, yeah, totally, I'm gonna just put it on there so it looks okay, you know. Keep that in mind. But this job is definitely worn on me, and I'm really starting to see it now. When I first started, it was kind of a new job, a little bit exciting. I liked it. I even was a manager. Like, I started Christmas of 2017, and they said, hey, this is seasonal work, but if we need any help afterwards, we might keep you and others on. And after Christmas, you're the only person that we're keeping. That was really nice. And then maybe approximately 4 months afterwards, I became a manager. They said, hey, you want to be a manager? I was a manager for about 6 months. There were a few things that I messed up on, kind of forgot to do. So I got a couple of write-ups. And, you know, I was like, I'm just going to go back to being a cashier, okay? That manager's not for me. It was a little bit too tough, especially with some of the requirements that they put on and all that other thing like that. So now I'm back to being a cashier. And I was pretty happy with being a cashier for quite a while. But then lately it's really worn on me. And I've started noticing, you know, one thing that really kind of sort of bothered me was, especially during like when I was having a few write-ups and stuff, you know, I was working a little bit fewer days a week while they were figuring things out. Had me down at a different store for a while, see if I could handle a smaller store. Get a good way to see, oh, he could improve upon this, let's teach him this kind of a thing. And so with that, I was getting a little bit fewer hours, and I kind of liked having less hours because I'm still living at my parents' house where I don't need the money to survive. It's going towards mission savings and then YouTube channel, whatever else I feel like spending it on, as well as tithing for church. But it was nice to have a little bit of extra time towards some of my projects and just me, you know. But then all of a sudden, you know, it's like, oh, hey, can you cover these shifts right here? People aren't going to be able to show up. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll cover them. Great, thank you. Well, there goes my 3 days off this week. But, you know, then there was actually an Arthur episode that I was watching. And I'm going to speed through this really quickly. Might talk about this in more detail later on. But, like, basically, Brain, this is one of the new episodes. Brain is trying to, what's the word? He's always been wanting to, like, take pictures of the not constellations, meteor shower. Right, but all these things keep coming up. Grandma shows up and all these things, and so he's going along and all these things are happening, and his mom asked him to help her with a big order for a catering thing that their ice cream shop is doing. He gets Arthur gets sick, so he has Buster gets sick. He has to give, and all these little things come up. But then there's that one point where he's finishing up with his mom, and he's like, and Buster was saying the whole time, it's the curse. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'm not going to see them always cursed. And his mom's like, no, it's not a curse. You're just too nice. No, go run along and see your meteor shower. I can finish up here. And it was at that point that I realized, oh yeah, that's kind of me. I'm the one who said, yes, I could work those days. And so I went in and worked those extra days. And it's kind of a sort of battle with me. I do like kind of working extra days. It's nice to look at a paycheck and see that the gross amount was $400 instead of $420 instead of $350 or something. I even got one recently that was $550. Whoa, that's nice. It is nice to have bigger paychecks, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm happy with $250, $300 paychecks a week, And right now, I'm actually going in to cover a shift that someone wasn't going to be there, and for me, it's kind of sort of this. But we don't have anybody else. I've said enough times, if you can't find anybody else, yeah, sure. I've said that enough that I'm pretty sure they just kind of look around a little bit first, and then they contact me. So when doing this, though, I'm starting to take a little more time for me. I could have worked yesterday morning, but I was like, nah. I kind of need I didn't say this out loud to them, but I was thinking, no, I need some sleep. I kind of need a day to myself. I don't even want to go to work right now. This is a bit too much. And because I've worked here so long, it's also kind of just getting more tiring, less exciting. I can definitely tell that I'm not doing as good of a job as when I started. When I started, for what this job requires, good job is 100. I was doing 90% of that. Pretty good, 95%. The last little bit was stuff that I couldn't necessarily do. Limitations, my size, how strong I am, things like that. Now I'm doing maybe 85, 80. Not quite as good. I'm still trying, okay? But it's just this psychological thing that eats at you. And it works at you, and it's more tiring. And at first it's like, yo, I got work today. Okay, that's cool. I'm going into work. That's great. And now it's more like, I don't really want to, especially on my days off. But the important thing too is, it's important to have me time, but you've got to have balance too. Because if you do actually want some extra days, if there are every once in a while where you're totally fine working extra and you would love the extra cash, so then you got to work sometimes when you're not. You got to be willing to every once in a while say, okay, yeah, I'm going to come in and work this day that I have off. So yeah. But it's definitely wearing on me, and I'm not looking for another job. I'm staying with Dollar Tree until I go on my mission, unless something else happened, If someone else said, here's this simple job, I read the description, oh yeah, I could do that. $100 an hour, or $50 an hour, I probably would jump ship, okay? But it has to be significant, my friend offered me a job to go build rocket launchers, $15 an hour. That's much better than $7 an hour. And one thing is, I wouldn't be able to get all the way up to Salt Lake. I'm down here in Orem. That would be a little bit tricky for me to travel up there, and I don't want to, if it's not the job of my dreams. You know, if there was like a video editing job up in Salt Lake, I would try and find a way to get there. Totally. So, it's definitely wearing on me, but it'll take a bit to pull me away. I'm pretty loyal. I do, you know, I'm going to stay here until I go on my mission. And when I come home, I really don't want to work at a call center. I just want to land video editing something. I will be back at my parents' house when I get back home, my mom and my stepdad's house. And they have talked about starting to charge rent when I get back. Cool. I'm totally fine with that, but I really hope that they give me quite a long time to land a job in video editing, because the other thing too about the Dollar Tree job, there's a lot of neat things I see that I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful, and I buy it. I'm good at saving though, okay? I have like $7,100 sitting in the bank for my mission. So I'm good at saving. You know, I'm not too bad with overspending, mostly as a space, but there are a lot of little cool things. So one plus of not working there will just be that I won't see all the things and want to buy them. It's just every once in a while when I shop there. But I don't know, it's just something that kind of wears on me now, and all the other things, all these people not showing up and stuff. And I would totally be fine if someone starts working at the Dollar Tree and then they don't show up. I wouldn't really care. Kind of like, oh yeah, that's sad for the managers, but not too much for me, you know. But except for the fact that then I'm kind of the one that ends up covering that. Yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much it for this Let's Talk. It's definitely wearing on me and doing less good. I would love a new job. Oh, this is one thing I can say. I think if I got like the same type of job but at a different place, there would be that new element of learning where everything goes. Like if I went from Dollar Tree to Smith's grocery store, it would be a little more exciting. It would probably have the freshness. Not as much as when I first started a retail job like this, but there'd be some freshness there, you know. But nah, I'm sticking with Dollar Tree until I go on my mission. And then I just hope I find a video editing job afterwards, because I'm tired of this job. I also think maybe maybe if I took a several years break, coming back to it would be, not so bad. I'd be back to my 90-95% good job status again. But, yeah, I don't want to. It's not a bad job. It's just a job that doesn't fit me and I'm not super excited about. But I'm going to stick it through. I'm going to make it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I helped you guys, gave you guys some food for thought, some good life lessons. I'll see you guys in whatever's next.